What's your favorite framework, one that you think everyone should reflect on?
Yeah, here's something that's been in the back of my mind more recently. One of the things that I've struggled over the years, and I don't think I'm alone here, is oftentimes we set these goals for ourselves, like we're like really want to do something in our minds, but we don't actually do it, and every day it haunts us. We wake up and we feel like crap because in our mind we've set this goal for ourselves, but we're not doing anything to move the needle.
I'm joined by Manoj Jonna, CEO and co-founder of Ramped, a San Francisco startup that's working on a skills-based hiring platform. His company's primary focus is to accommodate professionals who lack traditional credentials with networking opportunities and access to learning and development. They've raised a $3.1 million seed round to do so. Manoj, I've got 5 pressing questions for you. Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it, man. I like the quickfire format. I'm excited.
Let's go. The idea for Ramped stems from you and your co-founders reminiscing the difficulties of scouting a job after graduating college. The pain and demoralization that comes with mass applying to open roles and just not hearing anything back. Now, as hiring managers, you had realized that there was really no one to blame. The process was simply broken. It's just as hard to hire as it is to get hired. Thus emerged Ramped, your way of fixing the system for entry-level roles with skills-based hiring. What got you guys motivated enough to think that this was a problem you could and should fix? Because it's a massive undertaking and most would have just accepted it for what it is.
Yeah, you've captured the problem pretty well. Couple of reasons. Two of those are deeply personal, and one of it is a bit more on the business end of the spectrum. I'll start with the business rationale. One of the things, as we were thinking about the business and thinking about how to go about solving the problem, was we just noticed a sea change in which the current generation has been taking autonomy over their careers and taking more ownership over their lives and their destinies. Folks today are just unwilling to put up with dead-end jobs and are looking for ways to learn new skills, right? Everybody today is in part a content creator. You are one, I am one, but we're also content consumers. And the idea of the knowledge economy, that's here to stay, and we wanted to be part of that change. A couple of personal reasons, right? And one of it you mentioned yourselves. We had, when we were looking for jobs as early career professionals, out of college graduates, we felt the pain, man. It sucked. I'd wake up every day and mass apply to hundreds of jobs, hoping something would stick. And when I went and talked to people and said, hey, I haven't been getting a lot of interview requests and things are not working out well, the response that I got was, oh, like, how many jobs are you applying? 100? Like, maybe you should apply to 200 jobs, right? And spray and pray never works, and it never did for us. It was painful, and we just didn't want others to go through the same struggle. There's no point in it. And the other reason is that hard problems are worth solving, man. Hard problems are hard to solve, but they're worth solving, right? And we're seeing millions of people struggling with the same damn problem. I do think that we have a sense of responsibility to take some action. We owe it to people that took some action for problems of the past, right? Things that are making our lives easier today and allowing you and me to have conversations like this. I think we have a bit of responsibility to go ahead and continue solving hard problems so that we can all just get better as people.
What do you see Ramped ultimately becoming? Is it to replace traditional job sites, displace the resume, or become a better version of LinkedIn? Every founder has a long-term, distant vision. What's yours?
Yeah, our long-term vision is grand and simple at the same time. We want Ramp to be the marketplace of choice for anybody that's looking for an early career job. Whether that's someone that's out of college or someone that's looking to switch careers, before they even consider or contemplate what to do, we want them to consider Ramp home, right? But we don't want this to become just another marketplace. We want it to be the kind of marketplace where skills become the currency that folks trade, and where access to these skills are democratized, where anybody that has a computer, an internet connection, and a willingness to learn and grow can come in and acquire these skills, but then also monetize these skills through either full-time job opportunities, part-time job opportunities, and that's the type of platform that we want to build.
I personally was never a fan of academia, and I can say that my college degree did not play the role I had hoped in landing a career. What are your thoughts on a 4-year degree? Seeing the trouble graduates face, how underskilled they often are, and how lost it can be, is college still as valuable as it once was?
Yeah, I think the answer to the question lies in how you frame the question, right? And what you believe is the utility of a 2-year college degree or a 4-year college degree. If you want to strictly measure the utility of a college degree as the quickest path of landing a job and giving you upward economic mobility and the best ROI possible, then it depends. It depends on where you go to school, what your major is, what your willingness and ability is to take certain types of jobs. And so if you set the question in that manner, I think the answer is most certainly it depends, right? If you spend $200,000 getting a liberal arts degree at a private university that may not be very prominent and may not be a place where a lot of employers come to hire, and you actually haven't picked up any functional job skills, then and you're evaluating whether the degree is worth it. The way you evaluate it is how quickly am I able to find a job that allows me to make a return on the $200,000 that I spent, right? And if you set it that way, then it really depends. And in the example that I just gave you, probably not. I think it may not make sense. You might have been better off going to some coding boot camp and gotten a job. However, if you look at college as a way for you to learn for the sake of learning and give you the opportunity to develop as an individual, to build and nurture relationships with others around you, I do think that there is some utility there. I know folks will say that, hey, yeah, you don't actually, you can go to the library and learn, but it's hard, man. It's uncurated, right? I think what college does is it creates a bit of an artificial environment for 2 years or for 4 years where you don't necessarily have, depending on the situation you're in, the typical responsibilities that you have as a full-on working professional, unless you're also working full-time. Generally speaking, for a good chunk of folks, college is a little bit of a utopia. It's an artificial environment where you can come in and exercise muscles in ways that you may not exercise in real life. Someone is literally curating it for you, putting a bunch of 40, 50 folks in a room, assignments are made up, grades are made up, the whole thing is made up, right? And the idea is it gives you an opportunity to spend some time, and it's a luxury, right? It's a privilege for you to exercise things and parts of your brain that you don't otherwise, right? And so if you look at university from that perspective, and you have the luxury of spending money and spending time to doing it, then yeah, maybe it's worth it for you, right? And so I really think it depends type of a question, and when folks take a stance and say, well, college isn't worth it, typically they're looking at it through the lens of, is it helping me get a job? And is it helping me kind of better my life? And they're stripping every other utility out of college. And so, that's my honest take on it. I don't think college is for everybody. I do think that folks should be given the option to evaluate or consider other things like trade schools. I just don't think that everybody should go to college, right? I don't think so. I think folks should be given the option and given enough alternatives so that they can kind of evaluate whether, does it make sense for me? Is this actually something that I'll find value in? And I think we'll all be better for it. What I do see happening these days is it just ends up becoming the de facto thing that you're expected to do. After high school, you're supposed to go to college, right? It shouldn't be that way. I don't think it's necessary for everybody.
Since Ramped is all about getting hired, I'm wondering if we could briefly speak on an unavoidable element of the process: rejection. It certainly becomes more tolerable over time, but it's never easy, whether professional or personal. As a first-generation Indian immigrant, first-time startup co-founder, I can say you're likely very familiar. What advice do you have for those that are going through it right now and trying to cope with some of the most tolling emotions?
Man, it's hard, right? Nobody wants to hear no, because the immediate feeling that you have or you feel deep within is, am I inadequate? Am I not wanted? And there's just a lot of negativity that comes with it, and it's understandable, right? It's a very natural human emotion. But rejection is par for the course, right? You just have to embrace the hurt. And you have to embrace the reality that rejection is not a bad thing. I think that's also an issue of framing. For some reason, we've all convinced ourselves that rejection is a bad thing. It's not. It's absolutely not. I think failing is good. You have to fail because if you don't fail, you don't grow, right? And so at Ramped, we share this philosophy of failing often but failing forward, right? Growth comes, in our view, from discomfort. And a no today is not a no forever, right? All you have to do is you reflect, you learn, and you believe that your journey never ends, and you keep moving on, and live to fight another day.
I've noticed you're a man of frameworks. They can be really instrumental when it comes to seeing the forest from the trees. What's your favorite framework, one that you think everyone should reflect on?
Yeah, here's something that's been in the back of my mind more recently. One of the things that I've struggled over the years, and I don't think I'm alone here, is oftentimes we set these goals for ourselves, like we're like really want to do something in our minds, but we don't actually do it, and every day it haunts us. We wake up and we feel like crap because in our mind we've set this goal for ourselves, but we're not doing anything to move the needle. It's living in our head rent free, and it's annoying us and it's bothering us. And I was thinking, why are we that way? Like, why do I need to wake up and feel like crap about a goal that I set in my mind? And I'm not doing anything about it. I'm not changing the goal. It's just following me everywhere I go. And so one of the frameworks that I've personally started to at least think about and use for myself is I've started asking myself, like, okay, how badly do I actually want this? I made this goal up in my mind, but I'm going to be very honest with myself. Like, how bad do I want this? Do I really want this, or do I somewhat want this? I start there. And the answer to the question is, no, Manoj, like, you actually really, really, really want this. The second question I ask myself is, okay, well, if I actually want it so badly, what is it that's stopping me, right? There has to be a reason. If I want it so badly and something's stopping me, what is it? Typically, in my experience, it's been in one of the following buckets. Usually, it's just inertia, right? It's just laziness. I haven't done something, it's new, it's just inertia. How do I go from 0 to 1? So is that the reason? Sometimes it's fear, and I'm just afraid. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of trying something new. It's just fear of the unknown. That's another reason why I personally haven't started things or done things that I really want to do. Other times there's lack of skills. I don't know how to get going. I want to do it, but I don't even know where to begin. I simply don't have skills, right? And that's the reason why I'm not making progress. And so I started asking myself like more questions, and then I go down the line of thinking, all right, well, I know what my blockers are. Do I want to address these blockers? Can I address these blockers, right? And so do I want to, goes back to question one, how badly do I want it? Can I, makes it a little bit more digestible, because now I've gone from a broad goal that says, hey, I want to win a marathon or run a marathon, to coming to the blockers, which might be as simple as, shit, I don't have running shoes, or I might need a training group to get me started. Or maybe I need to just sign up for a 5K, right? To just get things started, right? So I've taken my big problem and come up with like smaller bite-sized chunks that I can pick and choose to get started. And if I go through this exercise and I realize I actually don't really want to do this, then I just get rid of the goal. Like, it's not in my head anymore. It's like, all right, Manoj, you just made it up. And you can unmake it just as easily as you made it, so that you can move on with your day and not let that chase you every single day. And so that's something that I've been trying to do, is being a little bit kinder on myself and not having goals that I actually don't really want to address, and only sticking with things that that I want to address, and I'm making an informed decision as to going after that goal.
Manoj, thanks again for your time. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave people with?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I not to get too philosophical, but life is way too short, man. We're all trying to find things to do to fill the time that we have on the planet. Any way you slice and dice it, we have, I don't know, like 40 productive years, right? I mean, if you chop off years 0 to 18 and chop off the tail end of your life where you're riding into the sunset, I think all of us have 40 years. Right, to exist, and we're all trying to find meaning in those 40 years. We all come up with goals, we all have aspirations, and at the end of the day, we're just simply trying to fill time. And so my general, advice to my own self and for others is, to the best possible, just try to find joy in whatever it is that you do, and be incredibly kind to yourself, and don't be so harsh, and generally things will work out and everything will be okay.
Thanks, Manoj. See you later.
Yeah.